Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Kuriboh deck profile. So I'm really excited to show you guys because this deck is an amazing swarm deck that can summon out all sorts of monsters to your side of the field to help you link climb into some extremely powerful link monsters. Plus, it's just really amazing to build a deck based around Kuriboh. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description in a single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test stands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the very first hand trap we ever got in Yu-Gi-Oh! 3 copies of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is an insanely powerful card in this deck because there's so many cards that interact with this card, like Flute of Summoning Kuriboh and Multiply that helped you swarm the field. But this card also has a really good effect that during damage calculation, if your opponent's monster attacks, quick effect, you can discard this card and you take no battle damage from that battle, which has helped me stay in the game quite a few times. We then play 2 copies of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is a really good 2-of in the deck that has the ability that this card is always treated as a Kuriboh card. And when this card or another Kuriboh monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon 1 monster with 300 attack and 200 defense from your deck, except another copy of this card. And it also has the ability to contribute this card you control and 1 each of your Kuriboh, and Kuriboh from your hand or field to special summon out a Kuriboh from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to summon out that card because it's an insanely powerful boss monster that can tag itself back out to summon out all the Kuriboh brothers. We then play 2 copies of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is a really good 2-of as well in the deck that has the ability to always treat as a Kuriboh, and when this card or another Kuriboh monster you control is destroyed by battle, then you can add a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that lists the card Kuriboh in its text, and you can only use the effect of this card once per turn, and when an opponent's monster declares an attack while you control another Kuriboh monster, you can change the attack of all monsters that you control to 0 until the end of this turn, and if you do, negate the attack, which is a pretty good effect to help you keep your monsters on the board. We then play 2 copies of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is a good 2-of as well in the deck. I play 2 each of the Kuriboh brothers because you want to be able to see them in this deck. But this card has the ability that you can quick effect, discard this card, and then target a Kuriboh monster that you control, and it gains 1500 attack. And you can also tribute this card you control and 1 each of the Kuriboh brothers from your hand or field and add a Kuribandit from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And then immediately after this card resolves, you can normal summon a fiend monster from your hand, which is a pretty good effect, but we don't play Kuribandit. We then play 2 copies of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is a really good 2-of as well that has the ability that when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card and then add a Kuriboh monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, and then once per turn, quick effect, you can discard a trap card and then target 1 face-up monster that your opponent controls, and it loses 1500 attack until the end phase of this turn. We then play a single copy of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is a good 1-of in the deck. As the ability at the start of the battle phase, you can discard this card and then target 1 monster in the graveyard that was destroyed battle and sent to the graveyard this turn, and then special summon it. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from the graveyard and then target any number of Kuriboh monsters in the grave and special summon them, which is a great effect to be able to use. I really like that effect that at the end of the battle phase, you can just bring back one of your monsters that got destroyed by battle. We then play 3 copies of Astral Kuriboh. Astral Kuriboh is a really neat card in this deck because it can basically become any level that you need, either a level 1 or a level 5, which helps out a lot in this deck. Because it has the ability to reveal a number XZ monster in your X deck and then special summon this card from your hand. And if you do, this card's level becomes the level of the revealed monster's rank. Also, while this card is face up in the monster zone, you can't special summon monsters from your X deck except number XZ monsters. And you can only use the effect of Astral Kuriboh once per turn, and a number XZ monster that was summoned using this card on the field as a material gains the ability that it can't be destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect, which is really awesome. And we actually have some really neat number monsters in the X deck that this card can summon. We then play 2 copies of Kuriboh. Kuriboh is a great 2-of in the deck. I did consider playing 3 copies of this card, but 2 has worked out just fine, and it gains 300 attack and defense for each Kuriboh monster that you control or in your graveyard. And you can only use one of the following effects of Kuriboh once per turn. which has the ability, if you have no monsters, if you have more monsters in your graveyard than your opponent, then you can special summon this card from your hand, and then during your main or battle phase, you can return this card to your hand, and if you do, you get to special summon all 5 of the Kuriboh brothers from your hand or graveyard in attack position, which helps you link climb into some really powerful monsters. We then play 3 copies of Skilled Brown Magician. This card is a really good 3-of in the deck that basically can become a level 5 or add multiply from your deck to your hand, which is really awesome. Because each time a spell is activated, you put a spell counter on this card, and you only need 1 spell counter to activate its effect. Because you remove a spell counter from this card to activate one of the following effects to either boost this card's attack up by 1500 and increase its level by 1 to make it a level 5 to work with 5-star Twilight, or you get to add a Kuriboh monster or multiply from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which basically sets you up for 2 of your extremely power plays in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Red-Haired Hasty Horse. Red-Haired Hasty Horse is just a really good card because you can special summon it to your side of the field in a column with no cards, which is really nice because it gives you a level 5 on your side of the field to use with 5-star Twilight. We then play 2 copies of Kaiser Vorse Raider. I thought this would be a really cool tech card in the deck because it's basically a dark cyber dragon that works with your copies of Allure of Darkness, which is really, really nice. Because if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use with 5-star Twilight, or use it to be able to banish off your copy of Allure. And it also has the ability, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it gains 500 attack, and if this card is destroyed by battle, the monster that destroyed it loses 500 attack, which is a pretty good effect. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Flute of Summoning Kuriboh. This card is a really good 3-of in the deck. It'll let you take a Kuriboh or a Wing Kuriboh from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it, which is a really good effect to get your monsters on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Multiply. Multiply is insanely good in this deck, with the ability that you tribute a Kuriboh and then special summon as many Kuriboh tokens to your side of the field that are Fiend, Dark, level 1, 300 attack, 200 defense as possible in defense position, but they can't be tributed for a tribute summon, but you can use them to link climb into link monsters, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of 5-star Twilight. 5-star Twilight is an insanely powerful card that you can only activate if you control 1 level 5 monster and no other monsters. And then you tribute that level 5 monster to special summon out 1 each of the Kuriboh brothers from your hand, deck, or graveyard. But they can't be tributed for a tribute summon. You can only activate this card once per turn. This card is really good because it can set up for Kuriboh, which then can bounce itself back to the hand, summon out all 5 of your Kuriboh brothers, and then link climb into some seriously powerful link monsters. We then play 3 copies of Scapegoat. Scapegoat is back at 3, and it is insane in this deck. It's just absolutely insane how many tokens you can put on your side of the field with your copies of Multiply and Scapegoat in the deck. Scapegoat lets you activate this card, and then when you do, you put 4 sheep counters on your side of the field, which is really, really awesome to put those sheep counters on your side of the field, but you cannot normal summon or set monsters the turn you activate this card. So you basically set this card on your field and activate it during the opponent's turn, because it also locks you out of special summoning or summoning at all. So if you flip it during the opponent's end phase, put the 4 tokens on your side of the field, and then start link climbing during your turn, which is really, really cool. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is a really, really good card in the deck because it lets you draw 2 cards from your deck and then banish a dark monster from your hand, which is why I'm playing cards like our Kaiser Vorse Raider in the deck to be able to go in for some really, really awesome plays. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Link Kuriboh. Link Kuriboh is a really good card in the deck that can just protect you from so many different plays, and it's just such a good card overall in this deck, because it has the ability when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can tribute this card and change that opponent's monster's attack to 0 until the end of this turn. And if this card's in the graveyard, quick effect, you can tribute a level 1 monster to special summon this card, which is really cool because you can actually tribute Scapegoat tokens and you contribute off your multiply tokens to summon this card back. We then play a single copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax because it's super easy to make in this deck and a really powerful boss monster that just takes 2 monsters special summoned from the X deck to link summon in this card. This card is really good because when this link summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and also their monsters can't target monsters for attacks except this card. And then once per battle, during damage calculation, if this card battles a special summoned monster, quick effect, you can make this card gain attack equal to that opponent's monster's attack during the damage calculation only, which is really good because this card can pretty much get over any monster that was special summoned, which is really nice. And if this link summoned card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can shuffle a card on the field into the deck, which is extremely powerful on this card. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is really good because it can pop multiple cards on the field, and we're going to put a lot of attributes in the graveyard to make this card. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is a really good monster in the deck because it can give you multiple negates on this card to be able to stop your opponent's monster effects. We then play a single copy of Trigate Wizard. Trigate Wizard is really a cool card in this deck because it's really easy to get all 3 of its effects, which are, this card gains the effects based on the amount of monsters that are co-linked with it. If it has 1 monster, if a monster is co-linked to this card, battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage inflicted to your opponent is double. If you have 2 monsters co-linked to this card, once per turn you can target a card on the field and banish it, and if it has 3, then once per turn when a card effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation if you do banish that card, which is a really powerful effect. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, and also its arrows are really good. 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and you actually get its other effect on this card that monsters that are co-linked that you control cannot be destroyed by battle. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Cerberus because it does also pop monsters, but it also has the ability that monsters that is co-linked to can't be destroyed by card effects, which is really nice. 1 copy of the Dark Charmer. Dark Charmer is really good because you can use your Kuriboh tokens to be able to go into this card. 1 copy of Proxy Dragon just for its arrows, which is really nice, and it just takes any 2 monsters, so you can use Scapegoat tokens to link with this card. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena, which just takes 2 non-link monsters to summon this card, so you can actually use tokens to summon this card, which is really nice, and it also helps you go into your copy of Nightmare Unicorn during the opponent's turn. 1 copy of Link Spider because it just takes any normal monster to summon this card. 1 copy of Relinquished Anima, which just requires a level 1 monster except a token to summon this card, but it can gobble up monsters that it points to, which is really nice. For your copy of Astral Kuriboh, we're going to be playing a single copy of Volcasaurus, which lets us pop cards or pop monsters on the field by detaching material and then inflict damage to your opponent equal to monsters' attack points, which is really good. But this card can't attack the turn you activate its effect, but usually you're just revealing it for Astral Kuriboh to special summon it so that it becomes a level 5. We then play a single copy of number 83, Galaxy Queen. Galaxy Queen is my tech number monster to make Astral Kuriboh level 1, but every so often you actually will summon this card because it has a pretty good effect that once per turn, you can detach an XZ material from this card until the opponent's next end phase. The monsters that you currently control cannot be destroyed by battle, and if they attack a defense position monster, they inflict piercing damage, which basically gives you a blanket effect of being able to go in for piercing damage. And that's really cool with a copy of Access Code Talker that can go up to 53. So that's it for the deck, guys. We also have tokens for the deck, so let's take a quick look at those tokens that we have for this build. So we're going to be playing, make sure that when you're playing this deck, you have 5 Kuriboh tokens to be able to play with your Kuriboh deck. And you have your sheep tokens as well, like I use in every one of my test hand videos, the sheep tokens for your scapegoats. These are going to be very important because you're going to be generating a lot of tokens as you play this deck. So make sure that if you're playing this deck in real life and not on like Yugioh Pro or Master Duel, that you have your tokens ready to go because that's really important. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. I highly recommend that if you guys have never played with Kuriboh, you definitely should. It's super fun. It's a really awesome deck that you can go so many different combo lines depending on what you draw, and you have some extremely powerful power plays with your Kuriboh brothers, 5-star Twilight, Multiply, and even Scapegoat now back at 3. So anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell and there soon come part notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.